All right, it is Monday. It is 6 p.m. Eastern, and it is time for another week full of fun and frivolity on the Sunshine State Happy Hour, powered by Florida Beer Blog and Florida Beer Media. And I actually am working on the website right now, so hopefully there's going to be a brand new, beautiful FloridaBeerMedia.com with our 2, soon to be 3 podcasts and this show and the blog and all
Everything
sorts of
else
other
going
fun
on.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. There's so much. Steve, we really kind of need to get that new podcast started. So, Steve, co-host, hi, how you doing?
Good. How was your weekend?
And it was busy as usual, soggy as usual, but that's okay. And we are going to be heading to a place that you have not been to, but I have been to once, and it's rather interesting. Up near the top of Palm Beach County is the quaint little city of Lake Park. If you do listen to 97.9 WRMF, Jason Pennington from the KVJ Morning Show talks about it all the time, which is how we came to go there and to Camille's Pizza and to one of the couple places that we're going to be talking to, because during the current pandemic, they opened 2 different breweries. And we have the owners and brewmasters of both of them on with us today. So from Coastal Karma Brewing, we have Charles Chase.
Hello, everybody.
Man, a few words. Right. And then from Kelsey City Brewing, which is in the Brewhouse Gallery, which is actually connected to and part of, and that's where they're sitting right now, we have AJ Brockman and head brewer John Hampp. How are you 2 gentlemen doing?
Great. Doing awesome today.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So I guess I will start with the obvious question. Why Lake Park?
Well, for us, I mean, we started here 6 years ago as the Brewhouse Gallery, and I've been an artist all my life, and I wanted to have my own space, not only to showcase art, but, you know, it's hard to pay the bills from art alone. So as a craft beer lover, we thought, hey, why don't we combine these 2 concepts? And the Brewhouse Gallery was born. So we're part art gallery, part craft beer bar. In the beginning, when we opened, and what brought us here was the cheap rent. I mean, that's really it. I mean, the commercial rental rates are really expensive in South Florida, and this was a undiscovered little area that I'm a Florida native. I've grown up here. A lot of people don't even know where Lake Park is, and so we knew it was a forgotten little town, and I had a vision of what it could be, and you know, we kind of ran with it from there. So that's what brought us here. We started out with the back bar, which is behind me now. That's our brewing equipment area. That used to be our original bar. Then we expanded into the bar next door, and we added 45 taps. And yeah, then the next progression was to start our own brewing facility. So
yeah, that's amazing. I think the one time that I went with my wife and daughter, we sat kind of where you're sitting right now.
Yeah.
Back when it was still the open bar and everything. And Charles, I know you were also looking at Martin County when you were looking for a place to hang your hat, correct?
Yes, I have a lot of friends and people that could really help me out in Stewart area, so to speak. Let's just call it Martin County. We kept trying to find a spot, but being the first place in there's a lot of red tape. So we did find a couple places, but they just didn't pan out. So I always look for cities that are growing. I want something that's growing, something that they're going to expand. I didn't really want to go into something that's already been established, to be honest. I wanted to be the first one somewhere where they were going to grow. That way we could grow together. I thought that would be a stronger bond than just coming into a place that's already grown and they just want to add a brewery. If you can grow together with a city and you have the same vision as they have, it's just a stronger bond between the community, the city, and yourself. And Lake Park's been awesome for us. They told us what their plans were for the future, and we agree with those plans, man, in terms of getting more, residential, what do you call it, the townhouses and I guess they're putting in a couple more condos and stuff like that. So that's only going to bring more people to the area, and so they want to grow that way, but they also want to bring people to the area through breweries and good restaurants, and that all helps all of us. So that's what we were looking for as well. We also wanted it to be easy to find us, and it is. You get off of I-95, go down North Lake, turn on to 10th Street, and we're 2 or 3 blocks away. We're right there. So it's a pretty easy find as well. So
yeah, you could probably park at Camille's Pizza and within about 5 or so minutes walk to each one of your places in turn.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, we're literally across the street from Camille's, yeah.
That's funny.
Off the 10th. So yeah, you can definitely walk around.
Nice. Well, I see Steve has this giant, almost comical Hefeweizen glass, and I've been eyeing whatever's been in John's snifter. So I guess what are we drinking right now, gentlemen?
I'm drinking Sawmill Red IPA. That's my afternoon today. But typically, brewer, my beer is a Pilsner when I'm working. After that, I like every beer that there is, but today the red IPA was hitting me.
Yeah,
oh, perfect.
I just finished the Pilsner. That was one of my favorites. And our Prosperity Wit, I think it's a real underrated beer. It's it's popular based on sales, but the most popular based on what we like. So
interesting. And Charles, I was just about to ask, so we got a good look at yours.
I'm drinking Karma Hopja. That's our staple core IPA. It's one of my favorite things to drink. I love IPAs, but it's an easy drinking IPA. It's not typical West Coast, more like a New England style IPA. So I was brewing a sour earlier today. So it's in the kettle behind me fermenting right now, a kettle sour, and that'll be the peaches and cream sour ale.
Oh, nice.
I may switch it up and go with the goes after this, but right now the IPA's tasting pretty tasty. So, and John, I had the Pilsner. I loved it. It's a good beer. I liked it a lot. And then we had the Juicy IPA too, and that was solid, man. Really
nice.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm always sending my people over to their place to grab crowlers so I can try some of their stuff because I can't get away. And then I know that some of a couple of their bartenders have been hanging out here, and they've been bringing crowlers back as well and stuff. So we have this little bit of trade going on with the crowlers and stuff like that. So.
Totally, our crowlers were back ordered, and Charles was kind enough to get us going. So we owe him some crowlers on the house for sure.
It's amazing how many people have complained about that. It's almost impossible to get what you need, but it's also funny. Yeah, it's amazing.
When everything shut down, packaging was premium, and across the U.S. even and there's one manufacturer for those Crowler cans.
Yep. Gosh, Steve, what is that incredibly vibrant looking thing you got going on?
This is mandatory training from Captain Lawrence Brewing.
Oh yeah,
New England IPA.
Yeah, good.
Friggin' delicious.
And you got this one for me, but I figured I would actually go for a Pilsner. This is my final transplant pills from Gulfstream up in
Nice.
down in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
Because you just want something simple and easy to drink, which is funny. Now, I guess the big question is, because you've opened recently and you opened during the pandemic, so you didn't have people that were able to come in once you opened. Why did you decide to just go ahead and do it instead of maybe waiting a few months and having a grand opening when you could actually have people come in like normal and sit down and enjoy your location?
I don't have a sugar daddy, so we had to get money out there right away. So
money.
Yeah, I mean, when you're brewing beers and stuff like that, just everything was taken a little bit out of the pocketbook, and we were just like, we got to start making something. It doesn't even matter if it's just a little bit. We got to start replacing the money that's going out with some money that's coming in. Our landlord was working with us, but they can only do so much as well. And our bank worked with us. The loan we had for our equipment was working with us. Everyone was great, but when it came time to it, we still had to make money.
Yeah.
So we decided to open up during it, just like some of the other breweries would have. We figured since we were brand new, a lot of people would come seek us out. We have a good following because we go to a lot of festivals all the time. We build a pretty good following. So our first Saturday that we were open, we went through a ton of crowlers. We did really, really well. And then as we were able to open up 50% with the food truck that we've had and everything like that, we've been able to keep it going. But it's a weird time right now. I think anyone will agree to that. And you just don't know what you're going to get. And the food trucks really don't want to go to breweries right now.
Really?
It's tough. So, yeah, I didn't even think about this till we started talking to some food trucks. And the problem is they're being allowed to go to communities and open up in communities. So let's say you have a gated community or whatever, or Palm Beach Heights, which is a community, nice little neighborhood. So a food truck can go there and hang out there and sell to the community. Previously, that wasn't really a thing that they could do very often, and it really wouldn't work because people could go out to any restaurant. So they're competing with other restaurants. Now they're not so much. So it's been hard to get to go to breweries because people are going to these communities. They're selling a bunch. They're doing really well. And at the breweries, 50% capacity, they're not going to make as much money as if they're doing the communities. So we were lucky to kind of get in with a couple of food trucks and get them to come here and stuff like that. But it's been a little bit of a struggle. And the only way we can go to 50% capacity is if we have food trucks, the way things are working right now. So the only way we can really make money is to get the food trucks in here, but it's hard to entice them when you're like, I don't know what to tell you in terms of how many people we're going to have. Yeah. We're not like a Twisted Trunk or a TBC who has, that hardcore regulars that come in all the time. No matter what, they're going to come in. We're starting to build that regular crowd, but right now, people are seeking us out because they've heard of us before or someone mentioned us. Mm-hmm. I wish we had a bigger regular crowd, but we don't. But we're starting to gain one. I definitely starting to see more and more people consistently coming in here, which will eventually help us out later on. But right now, it's been a little bit of a struggle. But it was the right move to open when we did, and just got to go through this along with everybody else and find your way and hope things turn out for the best.
Totally. So, yeah, no, and I think we're in a little bit of a different situation here at Brewhouse. We were doing build out of Kelsey City while we were still open to the public. We had a wall behind me, and it was like our secret little project. So nobody even really knew what was going on back there. And Coastal Karma had the head start for sure. I mean, they had started build out even before us. And I know, you never can tell with permitting and setbacks. So as far as being able to open, we were operating as Brewhouse, and so we said, hell, if we're gonna be open, we might as well sell our own beer. So it was just this kind of a instinctual thing. We had a grand opening planned for mid-May. We do a huge block party, which is the anniversary of Brewhouse and the theater next door, and we were gonna tie in Kelsey City opening around the same time. So. But with that, and speaking of Jason, we had Jason Pennington was going to be our headliner with his snack pack band, and so we had to cancel all that. But yeah, I mean, now we do have our own food. We have a restaurant in our plaza that was our food provider. Unfortunately, they announced this week that they succumbed to the COVID and the economy, so they're no longer in business. But we have our own food options, and like Charles said, we're trying to work with food trucks and other caterers, but it's a whole different landscape now. It's really everything is changing by the minute. So
interesting. It's an interesting time, and it sounds like, obviously, because Brewhouse Gallery has been such a big part of Lake Park for so many years, and because, Charles, you had been working the circuit for so many years, that you had enough of a crowd following to sort of get you over that initial hump. In the couple months since you've opened, has there been enough goodwill in the community, enough people in the community coming over, buying stuff to where it's been able to keep your beers flowing and your tap lines clean?
We've been doing pretty well. Last weekend it rained all weekend, but despite the rain, I thought we did okay. We didn't kill it, but we did okay for those rainy days. And even though we had a food truck, this past weekend we did really well on Saturday. Sunday wasn't too bad either. Friday was a little weird. We were expecting to be much busier, and it was kind of so with our food truck. But we had a ton of people that just were really kind of more or less planning on going out on Saturday, I think, more than Friday, because we were getting phone calls. Are you going to have a food truck on Saturday? And it's like, yes, we do. And so people were showing up. But on Friday, it was kind of a little bit of a hit or miss. But I've been talking to a lot of the breweries around town, like Twisted and Steam Horse and Tequesta, with Fran and stuff. And
yeah,
they're getting a lot of the regulars, but outside the regulars, they're not seeing too many new customers and stuff like that. So they're surviving on that, But we are definitely seeing I would say 50% or more people that we've had so far are from the Lake Park, North Palm Beach area, which I would consider our local area. So it's been a strong turnout from the community in terms of that. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. We from brew house days before COVID, I mean, we're down about 80% overall, which is a huge cut. But I mean, the brewery itself has been sustaining probably even more so now than brew house. So, technically they're two separate entities, but the brewery, I mean, and John mentioned it earlier, package sales, that's saving the day, man. If we didn't have growlers or crowlers that now thanks to Coastal Karma we have ours, we just got ours in too now. But so yeah, I mean that's really where the majority of the sales are coming from, and I think people are still scared, man, and so they just don't want to come out, even though we're abiding by all of our safety protocols, and we've experimented a little bit with delivery. That's a whole nother thing. The whole 3-tier system has been put on pause, which is good for us. I just hope that is something that we can work out in the future too. So
yeah, it's definitely something that I know Steve has been enjoying quite a bit, and I've been able to enjoy some of the changes in delivery and the package pickup and so on.
Totally.
And I know with Charles, I know your site, you actually have people call ahead to have them order so that way you can run it out, right?
Yes. Yeah, we decided to go that route. Delivering is as much as I'd like to kind of do the delivery thing and all that stuff. We decided that we want people to come in here and at least see the place, because when you see our place, it's awesome. Everybody loves it. They love the swings that we have up and the huge pallet wall that we have and stuff. So they love to come check it out, and they're always like, definitely going to be back. It's such a cool place to hang out and drink beer. And we wanted to make this place like you're sitting in your living room, drinking. We wanted a very casual atmosphere. It's similar to Brewhouse Gallery, how you have the furniture all over the place. We have it around coffee tables and stuff like that, so you can sit in your own little groups. But just making it very casual and comfortable and make people feel like they can sit there and drink all day with no problem. But we've definitely decided to try to get people in here to see our place as more of an attraction. So we did the call ahead kind of service with people, and it's definitely worked out. We definitely have people calling in saying, "Oh, I'd like a crowler, this, and this," and then we have it ready for them when they get here. So that's been a good option.
Nice. And then AJ, how is that sort of working for you? Because obviously it's not just the artistry that's the draw, and obviously not just the beer, but you also have a very strong live element to your entertainment package, not only inside the gallery itself, but you also have a fairly good symbiotic relationship with the live theater next door, and obviously that's something that hasn't come back quite yet, unless I am incorrect. How much is that you're starting to show up?
Absolutely, you're 100% right. So we actually own and operate the Kelsey Theater as well.
Really? Okay.
We took over about 3 years ago, and so my time has been divided between here and there, and that is a whole nother ball game. I mean, the theater, it could be 2021 until that opens up again, because a lot of the big national touring artists are not touring anymore. They can't put together a tour based on different rules in different states. So that's been a huge impact. I think that's why our numbers are down as much as they are. But again, I mean, we've been trying to adapt to all of that. So we're doing a lot more solo acoustic acts here. And then we've also lobbied with the town. I know Charles mentioned it earlier about how amazing Lake Park is to work with. And so they're offering temporary permits for an outdoor beer garden that we're going to do in the front. And we've had a lot of success with musicians playing outside, because people feel like they're a little safer, they can spread out. And then we offer table service in the front alley. And again, the town's been really great about open containers, and being on our property has been a huge help with that. So
that's a good point. And a number of people have also mentioned that. Steve, have you started to see any of the breweries in the Fort Lauderdale area try to really revamp their outdoor areas?
Bang and Banjo is allowing you to tailgate now behind your car. They said set up tents, set up chairs. We will bring the beer to you, have tailgate parties.
So it's still not open at Bang and Banjo's?
They opened, I think, 25%, maybe 50%. Gulfstream just revamped their whole outside parking lot seating area as well. So that's the way everything's turning is towards the outside, because it is, you're right. Everyone's open, it's spread out. There's plenty of separation to where you can have, 5-6 groups sitting around.
Right.
I love the tailgate idea. I'm hoping to live stream from the tailgate one of these nights.
That would be, I would totally do that. And obviously with Kelsey City, I don't know too much about what the Coastal Karma thing looks like, so you'll have to answer this question for me. But with Kelsey City, you've got a very large parking space for both you and the theater, so there's a ton of room that you can just stretch and spread out with.
Yeah, no, in the front we have a ton of parking, and we have a back alley. And I say, when you think of a back alley in your head, you think of something dirty and dungy, but we have a full 600-foot mural on the back of our building, and that is a really great gathering area. When we do our festival, our anniversaries and our other beer fests, we shut down the whole alley and food trucks and stuff out there. So again, the town has really been great about allowing us to do that in a safe way. So yeah.
And I was actually going to ask in terms of building, because it sounds the both of you talking. I know, Charles, you had a big issue with the physical building yourself, but it sounds like in terms of the legal aspect, that Lake Park has been remarkably forgiving and able to work with you and sort of not give you the headaches that I have heard from so many other brewers so often when it comes to the hoops you have to jump through to open.
When if we had an issue, we have a certain person at City Hall we contact, and pardon my French, but stuff gets done quickly once we put that out there. And they really have. I mean, I can't stress enough. If you're a brand new brewer and you're opening up, man, you have so many things you have to worry about and take care of. The last thing you want to have to worry about and fight with is your city. Yeah. The last thing you want to do. You don't want a city that doesn't want you there. You don't want a city that's going to make you jump through loopholes constantly to try to get things done. You want a city that really wants you there, and you want a city that's willing to work with you. And Lake Park is that city. And the mayor, he's always coming by the place. I know he goes by AJ's all the time because he plays music there. So I'm going to have to get him an acoustic guitar here so he comes here more often. But, the very first day we opened, our town manager and our mayor were the first two customers that came in.
That's amazing.
And then we had another city official from the council come in as well that same day, just later in the day. And, they just all came by, and they're all just like, we want to support you. We want to, show you how much, we appreciate you being here. And that speaks volumes when it comes to a brewery going into a town or a city. Northwood was not willing to work with us, even though they kept saying they wanted us there, but then they weren't really willing to do kind of some of the things that it would take to get us in there or make us feel comfortable there. And that's kind of when we just said, you know what, we're going to find another place. And we weren't really sure Lake Park was looking for a brewery, but, some of the places we found, we knew we wanted to go into there. And then once we started talking to them, they were definitely very receptive and saying how much they wanted a brewery in here. And so that's all that we needed to hear, and we were ready to go once we heard kind of their future plans and what they were looking to do. We had a big meeting with the city before we actually made the final decision to go into Lake Park.
That's amazing.
And that goes along with the whole, a lot of cities do research on what businesses do we need in our downtown area to promote growth. And breweries are huge. It's a gathering place. It's a meeting spot. It's a hangout. It brings your community together in a way that your average dive bar won't do.
And Lake Park definitely did their homework on breweries. They definitely knew what they were kind of getting into. They have their own take on how breweries should be and run and all that kind of stuff, because there's some things they were asking us about. But they definitely have done their research. They didn't go into this blindly or just hoping on a whim this works out. So.
It's always funny that you mentioned that on a previous episode of the Florida Beer Podcast. Some months ago, we actually interviewed the business manager for the city of Tavares, and they actually have an RFP out for a brewery to come into the city itself. And if you were the one that won, I think their reward was they would waive all impact fees.
Right.
Which, they're both like,
isn't that what Oakland Park did for Funky Buddha? Right? Yeah. In search of a brewery, and they would have said, hey, we're ready to go. We'll take it.
That is amazing. So let's talk about the styles that Lake Park really likes to consume, John and Charles. What kind of flies off the shelves? I was a little amazed that a wit beer was not something that moved a whole lot of, because I know everybody that I've spoken to is more than excited about Allagash White coming to Florida this month.
Again.
So again. Yeah,
it's been here before, just in case no one knows. It was here a while ago, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Well, they decided to pull out. They weren't making enough sales, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely John and Charles' department. I mean, we have another wit, the JJ's pineapple wit, and that flies out the door. So I think we hit it hard in the beginning with some of the easy drinkers, and yeah. So I think it's just a matter of getting the word out. But yeah, John can speak to that. I mean, he's been brewing for a while now. So
yeah, John, talk to us. What does the palate of Lake Park tend to like?
Well, I mean, the first one we threw out there was we were doing. I refer to it as a Norwegian wheat beer, right? So, so it's a Kvike yeast beer, and it's 4.3%. It's an easy drinker. We were rolling into the summer. It's like, what can you drink that's easy enough, and especially for somebody who doesn't drink a lot of beer, coming in the door and saying, okay, well, here, try this. And like, okay, that's easy. Even for people who say, I just drink ciders, I don't really have beers. And then we kind of, and so from there we said, well, let's give them a little more flavor. And then so we did run in with the wit beer. So it's a traditional Belgian wit. And so we've been kind of adding on from there. And, we did our model dairy milk stout because my brother said he would never go into any brewery unless they had a porter or a stout. So if you don't, then I don't understand why your doors are open. So that was obviously in the mix early on, is to do that. And then, but by then it was, we got to have IPAs, obviously. And I love IPAs. I drink them all the time. But it was okay. So we, and the good thing is, like, I talked with AJ. I said, what kind of flavors you want? What are you thinking of tasting? What do you think? Where should we go next? And he would come up ideas of like, hey, well, I got this idea about something I just read or something I know about the city. And so we'd sit back and go, okay, well, I can do a beer with that. And let's talk about where you want it to go. And then I sit back and go, okay, well, let's make a beer for that.
Totally, yeah. And a lot of our programming is based on the history of Kelsey City. So Kelsey City was what Lake Park used to be back in the 20s. The Kelsey City ran all the way from Lake Worth to our south, all the way to North Palm, Juneau area. So me and John will collaborate based on a cool story that we found, or a piece of history that relates to the beer. So that helped us not only from a storytelling standpoint, but also from a flavor profile standpoint.
Awesome. And I know, Charles, you're kind of starting to push the envelope a little bit with sours and gozas and things like that.
Yeah, I had so I was a beer rep for 5 years with Brown. So that helped a little bit in terms of what I made. But also just when we set up our lineup, I wanted a little bit of everything. Just so there are first 5 beers, I want to make sure I had the lighter beer all the way to the stout taken care of in terms of your IPA, your Saison, your Goza sour, and an amber Kolsch, and then our chocolate stout. So with those 5 beers right there, pretty much anything anybody wants, they're going to be able to get a little bit of taste of. So that's the route I kind of went. And I judge breweries by, can I sit there and drink all day? Yeah. And when you're a craft beer drinker, you're a mood drinker. What are you in the mood for? Well, it might be IPAs when you start, but an hour later, all of a sudden you're like, man, I really want a stout, or I really want a Saison, or
something in a bourbon barrel right now. Let's go.
So it's one of those kind of things that I just want to be able to, the first, round of beers and our core beers that we're putting out, I just want to make sure, we cover all the facets there that, we can cover anybody, any style that somebody likes. The only thing we're not going to have in our first, 8 beers other than the double IPA is something, really high alcohol. Like some people like, they like their 10 or 12%ers here and there. But those will definitely come later. But for right now, we're working on our 7 cores, and we'll start our seasonals and special releases after that. But that's how I decided to do the beers that I was putting on. And that is, the IPAs, are king. I don't care what anyone says, man. You got to have a good IPA on, and you might want to have a couple of them on. You can not like them as much as you want, but just about everybody that comes in here, one of the first things out of their mouths is, do you have an IPA, or I'll take the IPA, and I'm always trying to push some of the other stuff. Like, would you like to sample anything else? They're like, oh, no, I think I'm good. I'll try the IPA.
Yeah.
So that's how that goes. The Goza, our Goza is amazing, but I mean, it hasn't sold nearly as well. And it's, it's just the crowd that we're getting. We're getting a craft beer crowd, but I don't think they're, extensive into the craft beer community.
Gotcha.
In terms of, doing the sours and all those kind of things. They kind of like what they like with the craft beer, and that's usually the IPAs or an amber style beer or a stout, or even the Saison. The Saison is probably our second best seller. We make that with gallberry, honey, and rosemary, and it's just, I like to take traditional styles and just tweak them a little bit. I like to make first, do your traditional styles correctly, and then start tweaking them. Don't start tweaking them before you've made a good style. So the Saison, it's a good Saison, and then we just tweaked it a little bit with that. It's a mainstay now. And the Goza I make with real ocean water and coriander. I get my salt from the ocean. I don't use, it's like my triple. I don't use sugar in my triple. What I do is I use dried fruit. I use golden raisins and I use apricots. And I use the sugar from those in the boil to get the sugar in the boil. And then I use it again in the fermenter so the yeast can eat it from the fermenter. And dried fruits don't really add much of a flavor. Maybe a slight note you might be able to pick up. Not everybody's going to pick it up. So it doesn't really change the concept of the beer in terms of the flavor of it. It still tastes like a traditional triple, but I get my sugars from natural products. I don't just pour regular table sugar in or kosher salt in there. I get it from the ocean. So I like to take things and tweak them just a little bit.
Steve, up for a drive this weekend?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Actually, I think we're going to land this weekend. Sorry.
Where?
Atlanta? Oh, DeLand.
Yeah, we're going to land this weekend.
We'll chat. I hate you, but we'll chat. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. I will leave you with the final question that I leave with everybody, and I'm curious as to what the three of you say to this question. But obviously, you have opened during a very different time, and I know that you know how other breweries operate. I know that you speak to a lot of them. And you have had to do some things that are a little bit out of the ordinary, and they've had to do some things that are a little bit out of the ordinary. And once we are back to normal, once everything is fine, we are done with the quarantine, is there anything that you have seen or you have done that you feel should be a part of what craft beer is from here on out?
Go ahead, AJ.
All right, so yeah, it's a loaded question for sure, but I mean, I don't know. I think so. Two things come to mind. So for us, it's about providing an experience here. So I think that any good brewery, moving forward, and really from day one, I mean, it's about the brand. It's about providing an experience. I know one of a huge inspiration to me was Walt Disney. I mean, we're big Disney fans, and so his whole concept was to make it special and really make it a show per se. So with the music, with the art, at least for us, that's very forward heavy. Again, the history has been really important to us as well. So all the beers revolve around some sort of historical significance. And again, what we're doing a little different, and Charles can speak to this. So we're not focused on distribution at all. We're going to be a tap room. We're going to be, treatment beers. We don't really have flagships per se. We're going to roll out, our main core beers, but that could end up changing down the road. So we're going to kind of, adapt to what the market wants. And I think any brewery moving forward just has to be willing to adapt to what the market yields.
Excellent. John, anything that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think we're gonna. Oh, John, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, actually, because when we first started this endeavor, and I looked at, said, okay, we have brewery planning, we figure out what we're gonna do, and then all of a sudden, hey, Coastal Karma's coming. Oh, Novo is gonna be down the street. Said, we got the makings of a mini Dunedin here, so we're like the Dunedin of the southeast, where there's 8 breweries in that little town, and I think it's less than a mile from the furthest north to the furthest south, and. Right. We just need an enterprising young person when we're all open and running to take a little 15-passenger golf cart and run everybody between Camille to Charles' place and then back over to us at Nobo. And, hey, just got to, like the conch train, got a wristband, just go to breweries.
Yep. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. So, Charles, what's your idea?
We're not going to change too much other than the fact that the way you go about doing events, trying to promote and get people here has definitely changed how you have to think about it. Before you just come up with an idea and you're like, great, let's just do it. Now it's like, oh, we have an idea, but how can we do it in these times to make it kind of adapt to the way the times are right now?
Gotcha.
And so you definitely have to think more about how you're going to execute your plans. So that's definitely something that's different now. But other than that, we're not going to change too much. Work with the community. One thing I wanted to shout out on with us is that every month, starting I believe in either July or August, but every month we will raise money for a specific charity or some hard case. Someone can't afford school or they can't afford their medical bills and they live locally around our community. We hear about it. That whole month, we're going to raise money for them. And one day out of that month, we're going to have an event that's specifically for raising money for that event. But, we're going to have people come in. I don't want to bombard them all the time with like, hey, give us some money. I'm just say, hey, round your bill up. Just round your bill up. For the whole month, just round your bill up. We can raise money that way. And then when we have that one day to raise money, not that you can't donate whenever you want, but that one day we have an event to raise money, yeah, give us a 5, give us a 10, put some money in for this charity. And we just want to help and give back to the community that way. And like John was saying, I've been saying this before we even got in here. I want to get a trolley in here that takes people from Brass Ring to us and back and forth. So it's like a U shape in terms of the way it goes around the streets, but it hits every spot that people kind of want to go to. And, it's more than just the breweries. It's got to hit the restaurants too. We got to get them involved and just places that are cool to hang out with. Get them more involved. And when people don't have to drive around the town, but they can go from place to place, drink a little here, eat a little there, makes things a little bit easier on people, so to speak, in that terms of, we got to get in our car and drive 2 blocks to go to the next place. Just take the trolley. It'll drop you downtown West Palm. It'll take you there. It'll bring you back. You're good to go. Fortunately for us, we have a huge parking lot as well. So we can hold plenty of events here and do a lot of stuff here. We don't have to worry about parking. So that's one thing that really lured us to this place as well, because our place is definitely bigger than what we needed, but with the parking and all the positives that came with it, we couldn't really pass it up. So we went with it. But that's what we're looking to in the future is helping out the community the best we can.
That's perfect. Yeah. That sounds amazing. And I know I speak for Steve definitely when I say that we definitely cannot wait to get up there and head back in, because it's just amazing to see everything that's going on and have some Camille's pizza and just sort of enjoy all the growth that's going on in Lake Park. So Charles Chase from Coastal Karma Brewing, AJ Brockman, John Hampp from Kelsey City Brewing and the Brewhouse Gallery. Thank you all very much for coming on today's show. I really do appreciate it. Come by tomorrow afternoon. We're going to switch things up a little bit slightly, and we're actually going to be chatting with the founder of Ybor Walking Tours in Ybor City in Tampa. So we're going to have a nice little history lesson about not only beer in the city, but the last time that it experienced a pandemic the way that we're experiencing it now, and so on and so forth. So that's going to be happening right here, 6 p.m. Eastern. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.